Hey guys, Mr. Ridgway here with our next lesson on geodemography. I will say I am probably more excited for this lesson than I've made one in a long time. So I'm really excited to get to this and show you what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk about some myth busting, some stuff with graphics. It's all really cool stuff. So let's get right to it. Okay. So we're going to be using a lot of Pear Deck here. So be ready for that. Okay. There's going to be a lot of independent stuff too. So just let's get to it. So let's talk about this image here. Okay, on Pear Deck, I would like you to tell me what's going on in this picture. What do you think? Okay, so look at the picture. You can even click on it if you'd like to get a more up close static image of it. So I'd like you on Pear Deck. So type out again. You need to be logged into your Pear Deck session. What's going on in the picture? What do you see that makes you say that? And what more, if we take a second look, can you find? And next class, we will reveal the answer to what is happening in this photo. Okay, so also take note of what kind of thinking is this image making you do? And if you said analysis, you've got the right idea. We're going to be doing a lot of analytical thinking. So let's get right to it. Okay, we are going to be talking about several different things today, but they're all kind of related. And basically, it's how to get your brain thinking so that you're not dumb, which I don't have a good way to explain that, but it's like, how can you analyze, critically think, look at how changes happen and don't, and how your brain makes mistakes about those things. Again, you're not dumb. It's just that our brains make errors that you may not commonly think about. And so we're going to kind of look at some of those. But before we get to that, we do have to talk about the ways that we do think about things, especially with data. And that means we need to learn some strategies and some vocab around how we're going to be analyzing, specifically charts and maps. So we're going to get to that first here after we do a little bit of a teaser. And that is, there is a red button here. They say don't push the red button, but please do. I'm going to ask you, so you think you know something about this world. You've been on it now for a few years, and you think you might know something about the people who live on it. I'm going to really put that to the test. I've got something here called a Gapminder quiz. And what I'd like you to do is on this slide, once you are done, okay, in Pear Deck, I want you to take the quiz and see how you do. And I want you to type in the percent score that you got onto Pear Deck, and then we're going to decompress that in class and talk about it. So anyways, pause the video now if you need to, take the quiz and see how you do. Okay, I'm going to guess you did really badly, because I did really badly. The first time I took this, I got 15% right. Okay, now it's been a while since I've taken this, so some facts on the quiz I'm going to forget. Okay, but the idea that 80% of the world has access to electricity, I thought it was much less. I thought it was 40 or 50%. But there's going to be some things, some facts on there that maybe surprised you or that you got wrong. Go ahead on Pear Deck, please draw or type the fact on the quiz that most surprised you that you got incorrect. Okay, once you've done that, we'll move on. We'll kind of decompress this in class. And we are going to get to how to break down a chart and a map effectively. Okay, so I've got some notes here that you can look at, and you can break those down and use them. We will get to that here in a second. But anyways, let's talk about how to analyze and interpret graphs, charts, and data. Okay, so we are going to have to look very critically at this thing that we consider to be common knowledge. Does our common knowledge tend to be accurate when we actually compare it to data? And not only then when we look at data, is the data that we're looking at flawed or misconstrued in any way? And we have to be able to use these tools not only in a scientific way, but then we also have to understand what these tools are scientifically, because they can be manipulated and they can be distorted. And so that's kind of what we need to accomplish here. Okay, so let's start with the basics. All right, our brains are super smart, okay, but they have some flaws in them and some ways that they can easily be manipulated, and we'll talk about some things with that. Okay, they can be deceived. We can make incorrect decisions, as I'm sure everybody knows. Okay, and one of the biggest places that we find that our brains can be manipulated, as you saw with that quiz that you just took, are especially about these things that like people assume, like everybody knows that it's common knowledge, but really like when we go and look at the data on things and through graphs and charts, we can break some of these myths and long-running misunderstandings to hopefully make the world a better place. So let's talk about how we do that. Okay, so with a graph or a chart, okay, what should you do? The first step is to observe. The best advice that I've ever gotten about charts and graphs and things like that is that the first thing you can do is not make any judgments at all and just point out what you're seeing. So ask yourself, what's going on in this map, chart, thing that I'm looking at, data table, etc. Okay, and just to observe what you see. So for example, okay, I'd like you to type into Pear Deck, what do you see that's going on in this map? Okay, don't interpret, just tell me what you see. And if your answer is brown bubbles, then you've got the right idea, okay? You might see internally displaced people. You might see dates. You might see labels. That's what we're looking for, okay? Those are all good things, all right? So I'm going to have you answer on Pear Deck. Again, we'll be going over this in class, but let's keep pressing on, okay? And then number 2, okay? Your next step is, once you've especially looked at labels and data and some of those just key observations, is you need to make a claim. Okay, now this claim is not just like a one-off thing. No, first of all, you're going to back it up with evidence that you see on that chart or graph, etc., etc. Okay, so for example, okay, let's take a look at this map here. Okay, we can see that, and I'll move my face here so you can actually see it. We've got a map of internally displaced people, so same thing as last time, but we've got so again, notice me doing the observation here. We've got the I observed that we got some circles that have some color in them, some that don't, and what I see is that, and the claim that I might make about this is that there are more internally displaced people compared to externally displaced people in terms of the whole Southwest Asia or Middle East right now. Now, again, you could look at that graph and maybe we take another look at it, we come back, we look at the data and the evidence, you say, oh, that claim's garbage. No way, absolutely not true. But maybe we use it for compare and contrast. Maybe you look at this and you make a very different claim, like the humanitarian crisis in Syria is much worse than that in Iraq. And maybe that's true. And again, both things could be true at the same time. Again, welcome to history. So there you go. Okay, that's the second step, is to claim, cite it, and then again, we might have to revisit those and compare that to other claims and citations, etc., etc. Let's go on to claim number 3, or key number 3, rather. Okay, and that is reflect. Okay, and this is a really, 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 really important step. What more can we find or that's missing? And then along with that, can I trust the source that I'm looking at? Okay, the idea here is that we're asking questions that are leading to even more observations and even more reflection, even more citations, and not only that, we're questioning the source of the information itself. Okay, so for example, if I look at this chart here, okay, again, I see red dots. I know I can look. Again, I'm observing. I see that stands for new or updated military bases. I can see that's around the polar ice caps, right? And my interpretation of this, let's say my claim is that more conflict is brewing over resources in the Arctic. Now let's reflect on that. Okay, let's say that's my claim here. Okay, what's missing from this? Well, if that's my claim, I haven't talked anything about any resources in the Arctic. That's coming from my own background knowledge, right? Let's also take a look at the source, the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Okay, and you can Google that, we could research it, right? And it is authoritative, so we can trust this source, but that's good, right? We want to be questioning the validity of our sources. Okay, and that's the kind of whole key here. Now, okay, we've only done stuff with maps so far, okay, in terms of, again, observing, citing, and making a claim, and then reflecting. We haven't gotten to some stuff with charts and even maps on how they can be intentionally manipulated. And that's what this word of warning is going to be about. Okay? So There's going to be a video here we'll watch in class. Please watch it on your own, okay? And it's going to talk about how to combat manipulation, okay? Such as talking about like looking at labels, numbers. How can we check the scale of a table or a map or a chart? Can we ask bigger questions about the context? Can we look at the question, the story that a graph is trying to tell us or a map is trying to tell us, and verify that? This is all really, really important stuff, okay? So that is the end of this mini lesson, okay? What is coming up next is going to be kind of going off that same theme of being able to interpret data. We need to talk about really how your brain is going to then approach some of these charts and data and things that you might encounter, okay? Especially with us doing this big geodemography project, right? So we're going to deconstruct some very commonly held myths about some of these trends. Hopefully you kind of saw that we did that with the Gapminder quiz. I hinted at it here with, again, some of the deconstruction that we'll do in class with that. You're going to encounter even more here on something that we're calling myth stations or instinct stations. I like to call them instinct stations. I really should have fixed that on here, but that's okay. So how you're going to do this, okay, the instinct stations, okay, there's going to be 10 stations here. If you're in class with me, we're going to be traveling around and doing these, okay? If you're doing this online, okay, the button is going to be right here. It will be hyperlinked for you so that you can go and access it, okay? And let me pull that up here on my own computer so that you can actually see that. I don't know why it didn't open for me, but that's okay. This is why technology is awesome and amazing, because it's going to have issues. Let's pull this up. So instinct stations total. Okay. So we're going to be doing this through Google Slides. Okay. So this should link you out to a Google Slides thing. If it does not, okay. Number one, what you need to know about this is you need to have your own copy, your own Google account. Okay. That's really, really important because you're going to make a copy of this presentation. And you're going to be like messing around with it. Okay, all of the stations are interactive, and I'm going to go ahead and fix this link right now while I'm sitting on it. It's really, really important, okay, that you play with them. Okay, I don't want you to take maybe more than 5 minutes a piece, but many of you are going to find these stations to be immensely, immensely frustrating. And the reason is because the stations prey upon many of the common things and traits that we have as human beings, okay? Many of these instincts that are somewhat naturalish to us, okay? And I use that word kind of sort of loosely. Let me edit this link so that way it makes a copy for you. And now, if you don't have your own Google account, okay, it's really easy to go make your own. You're going to have to do it anyways for a geodemography project that's coming up. Okay, you just go to Google, you make your own account. It's really simple. It's really easy. We'll take a couple minutes to do that in class if need be. But when you get to these stations, just be ready for them to kind of kick your butt a little bit, and that's okay. They're going to challenge you. Some of them are funny and some of them are more playable. But there are these 10 instincts that I would like you to learn about and to deconstruct. Once you have done those, okay, here on this link, and I will open this up properly now, okay, there's a table that I'd like you to fill out. Okay, it's really easy and very, very straightforward. It doesn't take you much time. Basically, you just say, here's the station that I was at. This is what the instinct was, and here's actually what that means. So here you go. This is what it'll look like for you when you actually open it up. It'll have you make a copy. That is kind of like your handbook guide that you're going to be filling out while you do these stations. You're not turning it in. It's just for you to refer to for future quiz, test, etc., etc. But, okay, before you go, what I would like you to do is the exit ticket on Pear Deck, and that is right here. And I would like you to draw or type 2 things that you learned through today's lesson. Once you do that, that's the entire lesson, and you're done, okay? So, it's really late when I'm recording this, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off here at 15 minutes, even though I'm sure I could talk about this longer. I really look forward to doing this with you guys in class. It's going to be super fun and exciting, and until the next video, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.